everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna do quite a fun video. We're gonna do my favorite and least favorite book of popular authors. So I'm gonna say an author and then I'm gonna tell you all the books I've read from them and then what is my favorite book and what is my least favorite book. I saw Carrie can Reid do this video and it was so good because you can get book recommendations from that. Of course, I just took authors that I know I've read at least 3 books. We can go right into it. I've got my cute little list. We're gonna start strong. We're gonna start with the one and only Emily Henry. These are the books I've read from her. I love her writing. I think she is phenomenal. I think she's one of my favorite authors for standalones. I am quite indecisive on what is my favorite books of her. I'm not 100% convinced this is my favorite book, but I think my favorite book of hers is Book Lovers. I loved Funny Story and Beach Read. So it's really hard to choose one, but I think Book Lovers is my favorite, and my least favorite is People We Meet on Vacation, You and Me on Vacation. It depends where you're from. It was okay. It was not bad. It was just not great. But then again, I struggle with Friends to Lovers a little bit sometimes. I'm like funny about it. I love the way it was narrated, just not my favorite book. Book Lovers, I think, is my favorite of hers. I'll always love Enemies to Lovers. I strongly suggest reading her books. I love Funny Story. Oh my god, I can't. Next author we're gonna talk about is Leigh Bardugo. Now, I am reading right now, like my current read right now is Crooked Kingdom. And I feel like that's gonna be my favorite, but I'm not gonna count it because I haven't finished reading it. So out of all the books I've read of hers, I think my favorite is Six of Crows. I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. Of hers, I've read the Shadow and Bone series and the first in Six of Crows. Obviously, I'm reading Crooked Kingdom right now, which I feel like that's gonna be my favorite. But I think my least favorite has to be the second book in the Shadow and Bone trilogy, what was it called? Siege and Storm. Anyway, that one is my least favorite, I think. I didn't love the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I am enjoying Six of Crows so much more. Six of Crows, I just care about the characters so much more. And I'm reading Crooked Kingdom now and I'm only like 100 pages in and I'm already absolutely in love with it. So I'm scared because everyone is like, good luck. What do you mean good luck? Nothing bad better happen. Or Leigh Bardugo, I'm coming for you. Next we have Stephanie Garber. I have read 6 books of hers. I'm not sure if this is all the books she's got out. My favorite, I feel like it's a popular opinion, it's the Ballad of Never After. And it's just a great book. It was a 5-star read for me. It was so good. It was great. And I love Jax so much. So much. I think my least favorite, I'm indecisive. There's a couple that I didn't like. I rated both A Curse for True Love and Finale 3.75 or 3.5. I think A Curse for True Love is better than Finale. But Curse for True Love was a bigger disappointment because the Ballad of Never After was so good, and then I was like, I didn't love the last. I feel like she's not good at the last book because both the last books I didn't like. So I'm gonna say A Curse for True Love. That, I don't know why I was so disappointed. I was like, the Ballad of Never After was so good, and then I was like, oh. Also, I absolutely loved Caraval, the first book. Loved Caraval. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, but I gave Caraval, like the first book in the series, 5 stars. I loved Caraval. I love Scarlett. Love Julian. Oh my god, love Julian. I just don't love Tessa. No, that's not her name. Tella. I don't like Tella that much. I find her kind of unbearable. And I know she's releasing another novella about her. I want Jax. Next we have Sarah J Maas. I have read a lot of books. A lot of books by Sarah J Maas. I'm pretty sure all of her books, but she released like a Catwoman book, like it was random. I haven't read that. But all of her series I have read. My favorite is very easy for me. I didn't even have to think about it. Is 100% Kingdom of Ash. That book changed my life. Changed the trajectory of my life, changed the brain chemistry in my mind. I swear to God, 10 out of 10. Like, like a 7-star. Like I could cry thinking about it. I don't want to cry, so we're not gonna think about it. My least favorite has to be Crown of Midnight. What a random book. Yeah, it was just there. I just at the time wasn't the biggest Kale fan, and I was the biggest Dorian supporter, so I was like, girl, why are we going with him? Honorable mention is Court of Silver Flames, Empire of Storms, Queen of Shadows, Mist and Fury. Next is an author that not a lot of people love at the moment. Everyone used to rave about her, but now we don't love her anymore. It's Colleen Hoover. I have read quite a good amount. I haven't read one of her books in at least 3 years. So I don't know if it changed my mind if I reread them. My favorite, it's For Sure Reminders of Him. I actually really loved that book. It was so sad. It was so sad, but I feel like most of her books are sad. She doesn't do like happy and cute. My least favorite, I think, was Without Merit. It was just there. And I was like, yeah. It was just a 3-star book that I was like, oh, didn't care much. Very heavy, very, very, very heavy. Check every single trigger warning possible. Next, we have one of my favorites, Taylor Jenkins Reid, the Queen herself. I have read a good amount of her books, and my favorite will always be, I don't think it's ever going to change, I don't know, but I doubt it. It's always going to be Daisy Jones and the Six. I love that book so much. I actually cannot explain to you how much I love that book. I was so terrified when they announced the TV show, because I was like, you're gonna ruin my favorite book. They indeed did a fucking incredible job. The TV show is so good. I strongly recommend it if you haven't watched it. It's on Amazon Prime, I think so. I kind of want to rewatch it now. I 100% strongly recommend reading Daisy Jones and the Six. Reading any Taylor Jenkins Reid book, like ever. Like she just does not fail ever. I love Carrie Soto's Back, love Malibu Rising, love Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and I even loved One True Love, but I think out of all the ones I read, that's my least favorite. It was a very good book. Like, it's not a bad book. It was a very, very good book. It's just, out of them, my least favorite. Next, we have Krista and Becca Ritchie. I have read so many books from them. Not all of them. I'm getting through them. I'm doing it. I'm slowly gonna do it. I don't know. I really struggled to decide which one is my favorite. It's either Hot House Flower or Some Kind of Perfect. I'm gonna say Hot House Flower. I do love the epilogue novel, but it's just so big. But it was a great epilogue novel. I think doing epilogue novels is so hard, but that was so good. And I really, really love also the first 3 books in the Leica series. I only read the first 4, but the first 3 books, I think out of the Leica series, Alphas Like Us is my favorite, but I think Hot House Flower, Long Way Down, and Some Kind of Perfect are my favorite a bit more. But I love every single one of their books. I've never even thought about DNFing one of her books. I love it, and I'm getting through the Leica series, but it's 13 books. Let me repeat it to you, 13. But they're all on Kindle Unlimited, all of their books. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can just go and have a read. They're very, very bingeable read. They're not gonna be the best piece of literature you've ever read, but they will just make you feel good. And I love books that do that. Oh, next we have Elle Hazelwood. Oh my god, hair everywhere. Elle Hazelwood, which I found out literally 2 days ago. She's Italian. Why did no one tell me that? I didn't know Elle Hazelwood was Italian. Just me, I didn't know. Elle Hazelwood doesn't sound like an Italian name, so I didn't know, because I'm Italian. I've read a couple of her books, and I own more that I haven't read yet. 100%, my favorite is Bride. I loved Bride. It was a 5-star for me. I absolutely adored it. I thought it was so fun and so quick to read, and it got me out of a reading slump that I was getting myself into, and I was so scared. I was like, oh, I don't want to get into a reading slump. I'll just read Bride. Got me out of it in a day. I read that book in a day and a half. It was so good. 10 out of 10. My least favorite is, I think, an unpopular opinion, but it's love theoretically. It didn't do much for me. It's not that I didn't like it, I just didn't love it. It was just like, cute, nice, moving on. I preferred The Love Hypothesis to Love Theoretically. But I haven't read Love on the Brain. I own it, but I haven't read it yet. But a lot of people say that's her best out of all the STEM romances. So far, my least favorite is Love Theoretically, and my favorite is Bride. Read Bride, please, please. Next, we have Anna Huang. I have only read the Twisted series of hers. My favorite is very obviously Twisted Games. It's not even a comparison to me. I feel like if you call Reese, it's a yes. Twisted Games was so good. I love a bodyguard romance. That's what the Leica series literally is. Female main character was so cute. I just loved it. Loved Twisted Games. Didn't like Twisted Love. So like literally didn't like the first book, loved the second. Twisted Love I think wasn't that good. I think it was okay. I think it wasn't what I signed up for. I thought I was reading like a cute little rom-com, and then some crazy shit started to happen. I was like, what's going on? And then when he started to sing, that was my last straw. You don't sing. You do not sing, please. Because if someone sang for me, like went up in front of someone and sang, I would just stand up and leave. I'm off. You'll never see me again. Please don't sing. Next, we have Elle Kennedy. I've read so many books by Elle Kennedy. My favorite is The Score. I loved it. It was either The Score or The Deal. They just hold such like a nostalgic feeling to it. I read them so many years ago, and I read them again like 3 years ago. I really like The Graham Effect as well. I really like that one. I haven't read the new one, The Dixon Game. Is that the name? I enjoyed most of her books, but one I hated with everything in me, The Dare. I hated it. I almost DNF'd it. I kind of DNF'd it, and then I was like, oh, I'm gonna just finish it. But like I DNF'd and then kept going, and then DNF'd it again. I hated The Dare. I found the female main character kind of unbearable. I liked Briar You. I liked The Risk. The Risk is great. The Deal, The Score, The Graham Effect. I liked Misfit and Rogue. I like literally most of her books, but The Dare. Next we have Elsie Silver. I haven't read all of her books at all. I'm getting through them. I own a lot of her books that I haven't read yet. My favorite has to be Reckless. What a book. She wrote a masterpiece. That Reckless is literally like perfect. I wouldn't change one page of Reckless. I loved Heartless. I haven't read Hopeless and Powerless, and everyone says that Powerless is the worst in that series, but I haven't read that yet. But I have read Wild Love, and I didn't like it. So that's my least favorite for sure. I think Wild Love isn't as good as the 3 in the Chestnut Springs that I've read. But maybe because it's the cowboys, the lack of cowboys, maybe that's the reason. Maybe. But yeah, I loved Reckless. It's very unusual because it's a pregnancy trope. And before you're like, oh no, I hate pregnancy tropes. Everyone does. But everyone loves this book. I don't know how to explain to you. It's perfect. Like, trust me. Trust me. Oh, one of my favorites. Miss Olivie Blake. I read almost all of her books. I own only one book that I haven't read of hers, which is Alone with You in the Ether. Me and You Alone in the Ether, something like that. I own that, but I haven't read it yet, and I plan on doing that this month. Oh, I struggle with my favorites. I think it's One for My Enemy. I think that's my favorite. I read it last month, and it was so good. I cannot even put it into words how much I love that book. It was just so easy to read and so different, and it's kind of like a Romeo and Juliet retelling, but at the same time it's like urban fantasy with witches. It's a 10 out of 10. Like, read it. I really loved Masters of Death as well. I think my least favorite has to be, if we count My Mechanical Romance, because My Mechanical Romance is written by Olivie Blake under her real name. If we count that, it's probably that. If we don't count My Mechanical Romance, it's The Atlas Paradox. What was that? What was that? What was going on? What happened? Because I loved The Atlas 6, but the ending was silly. Every time I think about that book, I actually want to cry. So much potential. Because it's a great book, but at the same time, I hate what happens. So, I still don't know how I feel about it. I don't think I ever will. The Atlas Paradox. Last one is Jessa Hastings, and by her I only read the Magnolia Park series. I haven't read Never because everyone hated it, so I was like, oh, I'm not gonna read it. My favorite in the series is Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. That's my favorite for sure. I love Daisy Hates books so much more than Magnolia Park's books, even though I really enjoyed the last Magnolia Parks. I enjoyed the first Daisy Hates, and I enjoyed Daisy Hates the Great Undoing the most, and I really liked Into the Darks. I really love the first Magnolia Parks. That's definitely my least favorite. I was just frustrated the whole time. I just get frustrated a lot being in Magnolia's head because she's kind of unbearable at times. Love her, but like, girly pops, like, please. She needs to go outside and touch grass sometimes. I love her, but like, grass needs to be touched. She's just a very like rich, beautiful girl. So sometimes she's like a bit out of touch with reality. She hasn't got a clue that people need to go to work to pay rent. And I almost stopped reading the series. I read the first one, I was like, oh, don't love it. But everyone was like, just keep reading because I think you'll like Daisy Hates more. So I was like, okay, I'll give it one last shot. I read Daisy Hates, loved it, and then kept going, and 10 out of 10. Strongly recommend reading the Magnolia Parks series. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please, if you could, I would love if you could like and subscribe so we can be friends and talk about books. Hold my hands. I love you. Have a great day. Ciao. Oh my god. Ooh, abs.